Who dat, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hope you're enjoying it. First time we've done a Saints film room in a while. Honestly, it's been a while, and I'll be real with you. Let me just go ahead and I'm not gonna hide it. The reason that I haven't done a Saints film study is because they've been terrible. Short answer is it's not enjoyable to watch them sometimes, and I choose to sometimes kind of tune them out. That's just the truth. Now, I'll still watch the tape, and we'll talk about it on the podcast. But that's not the same as actually, making a Saints film room, which we're going to do today because Jimmy Graham, I believe, is being underutilized and underused, which many of you think as well. So I want to watch a couple of his plays, talk about how it can be used, because the truth is, what's crazy is shout out to Jimmy Graham, who after his touchdown against the Carolina Panthers has now moved into the sole ownership of 5th place all time and is one away from tying Deuce McAllister in 4th all time for touchdowns scored, receiving, rushing, kick return, punt return, etc. Alvin Kamara obviously leads with 78. Shout out to AK for extending his lead. You have Colston, Ingram, McAllister, Graham, Dalton Hilliard, Joe Horn, Eric Martin, Pierre Thomas, Final Les Moore, Danny Abramowitz, Taysom Hill, Michael Thomas, Tony, Galbraith, and Reggie Bush. Why I decided to ran all those out, I don't know. But point is, he has been underutilized. And the only reason you actually even saw him getting opportunities this week is because Taysom Hill was hurt. So I want to have a film study where I talk about why this is just gross negligence and, in my opinion, stupid. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to call a specific person stupid, but the lack of using Jimmy Graham is dumb. Fade over. If you agree, comment down below. So we're going to take a look at a few different plays and go over them. Only going to look at probably 3, but I want to talk about the importance of Graham. So here he is right here. Just go ahead and Madden pin him so that y'all can see him quite clearly. Now, in this one, you're going to see that first kind of little matchup of the opportunity. This is very early in the game. Now, sadly, due to pass rush and pass protection issues in this game, they weren't actually able to capitalize on opportunities that were there. This was an opportunity that would have been fantastic. You got a Texas concept from Alvin Kamara, and then you've got just what ends up being a short kind of hitch route, but Texas concept underneath it. This could have been a touchdown either way, whether it's a Jimmy Graham or Alvin Kamara. But because of this rushing A-gap blitzer real quick, you're going to have a rushing A-gap blitzer, which you would want to throw into that. But since nobody reads on the line, nobody gets picked up, he's running for his life. I still think that Derek Carr potentially maybe could have made this. I don't honestly know, but that was a touchdown. But I want you to look at the Jimmy Graham side of things. This is a matchup they want to come back to. Gets great inside leverage, drives, and then a little bit of arguably offensive pass interference, but you can see he's got clearly positioning, everything there. Jimmy Graham would have had a touchdown should they have needed to boot out and get to him. Now, really hard to expect Carr to do much when there's a free blitzer. It's way more obvious from this angle, so I'll flip it around. I don't think Derek Carr should have played this game. This is not the Derek Carr that I watched against the Detroit Lions. The guy that completed 15 straight passes and everything looked great, much quicker to react. I think he was still suffering not only that shoulder issue, but also from his concussion. And I think it was basically immoral for them to put him back out there. How do you not just trust Jameis Winston against a team that has one win? Blows my mind. But anyway, Jimmy Graham, right side of your screen is going to open things up here in just a second. You're going to see him come through right there, and you're just going to see strongman. That was touchdown waiting to happen, but sadly didn't. Now let's take a look later in the game how they return to this matchup to take advantage of it. Again, this is a guy that only gets snaps basically inside the 20. They don't really give him any other snaps because Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau take the snaps from him. So here he is in the slot, lined up in what is a 2x2, very normal. You've seen the Saints run this. They'll run 4 verticals, and this is a similar look, except it's 4 deep hitches. So we're going to have a 12-yard hitch on both sides. So you got a 12-yard hitch right here with the lob. You got another one on top of your screen. And then you're going to do a 10-yarder on the inside. And all these are working in. You see you got that quarters coverage. They're defending the goal line here. They don't want to allow any touchdowns. So you actually have options here with Jimmy Graham sitting in a spot. And I think that he does a really good job of it because compare his location to the location of right down here. Notice the difference there. Further inside to get into the window. And that's the key with Graham here. Is it being a fantastic pass by Derek Carr because he has to throw this high? It has to be a place where Jimmy Graham goes up and high points this ball, but it's also the spacing. Look how far outside Moreau gets and ends up sitting on the numbers. That actually puts him out of the throwing lane. So he actually took himself out of the read. Whereas Jimmy Graham understands the positioning and spacing and then works back to that inside to get in between the defenders. That is a great little veteran move. And this isn't meant to be like a trash-talking Foster Moreau thing. It's simply, you're going to have contact at the line of scrimmage sometimes. You got to know back to get back to your spot. Graham has a little bit of contact. You got a little bit of contact. You got to get into the throwing lane. Great job here by Graham to do that. Now, you could have also hit this outside if you're reading this inside defender. Hit this outside hitch either way, but I love this play to Graham. This is actually what you want to do. You want to target your big guy in the red zone. This is what I'm saying is so egregious, in my opinion, because the New Orleans Saints aren't doing this. Like, literally, this is the example. This is the one pass that he's had inside the 20s that wasn't a touchdown. This is it. That's the pass. And he's only getting these snaps because Taysom Hill was out this game, so it was Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Jimmy Graham. And I understand that carrying 4 tight ends into a game is tough. Taysom's an anomaly, though, so I don't know if you can necessarily count him. But he's been very, very clearly a very, very good player in the red zone, as in he understands the spacing. Again, that was not meant to be a shot at Foster Moreau, but you can see in this play where they have identical routes, just Jimmy Graham having that vet savvy to know exactly where to sit, and then just simply being a better baller. You can't teach height, weight, speed like this. Doesn't really have the speed anymore, but he's still got the big height and the big body. Watch it from this angle. And again, so it's actually a very, very good throw by Derek Carr. Give him credit on this throw. Still think that he didn't have a great game, but this throw is exactly where it needs to be. High pointed so that Jimmy Graham can go up and above all these smaller defenders, and then the strong hands to come down with it. Absolutely gorgeous play. And the biggest thing for me is this is proof positive, in my opinion, of why he should be getting more snaps. Because he understands the role and how to play it. Again, it's nothing major. They both have the same job, but one understood enough to go about 3 yards further in to get into the throwing window, where Foster Moreau had done the same thing. He's in the same window, right? It's just the ability to, or the knowledge of how to play the game effectively in this spot. And it's so critical because this is where New Orleans has struggled the most all year. They struggle in the red zone. They don't score in the red zone. Well, clearly you got a guy who knows how to operate in it. Let's take a look at another play here. This is, of course, the Jimmy Graham touchdown. He's got 3 receiving touchdowns, which, by the way, is the same number of touchdowns as all the other tight ends combined. Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill each have 3 receiving touchdowns. Jimmy Graham now has 3 receiving touchdowns. And I actually like this play design because you're going to have an outside motion, post-snap, pre-snap, you've got Foster Moreau moving over here. So you're actually using some of those things that we keep griping that Pete Carmichael never uses. He's actually using some of them here. You're going to have what is a boot action. Boot action is good because it gets our quarterback away from pressure. You're going to leak straight up, and then the running back is going to attack the pylon, the lower pylon. So this is all by design. You can also leak underneath this other tight end. You can also leak out the top, this backside wide receiver. A lot of things you can do with this, and boot action opens it up. You can see the receiver doing exactly what I'm saying. Now, they don't really get underneath with Foster Moreau because of all the, commotion and conjunction going down there. But you have the leak of Jimmy Graham straight up because of the motion, and everybody pays attention. See, the motion draws that over. We're looking at Foster Moreau. We're dragging Foster Moreau. And then we have to pay attention to Jamal Williams here, who is the dump off at the goal line. Nobody pays attention. Big body wide open. And again, knowing where he has to be, Derek Carr gives a good throw here. Throw has to be the inside. Make sure it's away from the defender. The guy just knows how to play red zone, right? Jimmy Graham is no longer an elite player. He is not. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Just not. He's not a guy that I would trust inside the 20s. But right there, man. And he's expecting it. And he just does enough. And this is a dude that should have 200 yards receiving like this year. Really, he should. Like, nothing crazy, no big numbers, but he should be being used more inside the 20s. You were 13 games in, and somehow you've only thrown to him 4 times, and 3 of them were touchdowns. And the man clearly knows how to play the ball. And what's wild is if they had defended this, like if they had actually defended, look at it on this angle. So if they actually do this sticks right here, so they stick right there, and then this sticks with Moreau, you actually have a one-on-one with Jamal Williams against a safety. And honestly, that's a matchup a lot of folks are going to take. Just you think that he's going to barrel over him and run him over. So either way, even if he starts getting respected in the end zone for being what he is, use him. I think that's kind of like such a frustrating point for so many Saints fans, right? It's Jimmy Graham it's not just about nostalgia. He's shown you, right? It's not just nostalgia. The guy literally can still perform and understands the responsibilities of being a guy in the red zone. Look, he's old. He's like, what, 34 years old? He's my age. He's old, okay? I'm not trying to advocate that Jimmy Graham is secretly like the best tight end on the roster. But it is ridiculous that he's not getting used when clearly he still has the wherewithal and the knowledge of the game and the athletic ability to be a threat in the red zone. I think it's no coincidence that he helps contribute to a higher red zone conversion percentage when he plays. Now, is his blocking amazing? It's better, not amazing. Should he have more snaps than Juwan Johnson? Probably not, but Juwan Johnson shouldn't have more snaps than Foster Moreau based on his play. What I am saying, though, and I'm curious if chat agrees. Number one, like the video. All right, this is a shorter film study, but I'm giving y'all the all-22 so you can see Jimmy Graham in action and make an opinion for yourself, right? Which is what I want y'all to do. But you let me know in the comment sections down below. Do you think that Jimmy Graham should be getting more opportunities? Because if a guy is scoring, you should take advantage of that. That's just my thought. Obviously, I don't work for New Orleans, but in these short plays, 3 plays is not enough to build a scouting report or anything. But you can certainly see that Jimmy Graham still has the ability to play inside the 20s and help them move the ball, but more importantly, score the ball. There's been too many games this year where the New Orleans Saints simply didn't score at all in the red zone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. He's been a pretty positive for me, man, and I'm really excited for him that he has moved up the Saints rankings, man. I can't wait for him to go into our Pro Football Hall of Fame. And had he never been traded, he probably would have gone to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's going to the Saints Hall of Fame for sure. Who dat? God bless. Appreciate every single one of you. Deuces. Catch you on the next one. Check out the podcast.